There was a time when Google ruled the tech world without question. Search engines, Android, Gmail, YouTube, everything carried its name. But when the AI race began, something unexpected happened. OpenAI stole the spotlight with ChatGPT, and suddenly it looked like the king had lost its crown. When ChatGPT exploded in late 2022, reports said Google leadership declared a code red over the threat to its core search business, fearing conversational AI could change how people find information online. For a company that had led AI research for years, this was an existential warning, and it pushed CEO Sundar Pichai and senior executives to fast-track a public answer despite Google's historically cautious approach to shipping experimental systems. Inside Google, AI teams had already been working on large language models like Lambda and Palm, but these systems were mostly internal. The sudden spotlight on OpenAI forced executives to take them to market quickly, setting the stage for the controversies that followed. In February 2023, Google published a promo for its new chatbot, Bard, in which the system gave a wrong answer about the James Webb Space Telescope, incorrectly claiming it had taken the first pictures of a planet outside our solar system. News outlets reported that after this error was spotted, Alphabet's market value dropped by around $100 billion in a single day, as investors questioned whether Google was truly ready for the AI race. The incident damaged Bard's credibility before it even launched broadly and raised doubts about Google's ability to maintain its reputation for reliable information while rushing to match OpenAI and Microsoft. Commentators and analysts framed the misstep as symbolic of a hasty, reactive strategy, amplifying pressure on top management. Internally, many Google employees were furious about how Bard had been rolled out. On MemeGen, Google's internal meme board, staff used highly upvoted posts and jokes to accuse leadership of a rushed, botched, and ungoogly launch, with one widely shared meme urging Sundar Pichai to return to taking a long-term outlook. Reports described employees calling the Bard rollout a dumpster fire and criticizing leadership for pairing the controversial launch with large-scale layoffs, arguing that both decisions betrayed Google's cultural values. CNBC and other outlets reported that many staff members directly blamed Pichai for the timing and strategy, making internal frustration with the top management's response to ChatGPT unusually visible to the public. The controversy was not only about PR, it also exposed internal conflicts over safety and ethics. Bloomberg reported that some employees testing Bard before launch called it a pathological liar and said it gave dangerous advice, such as incorrect instructions for landing a plane or scuba diving, that could cause serious harm. According to summaries reported later, Google's own ethics and safety reviewers had raised red flags and advised against launching Bard so quickly. But executives decided to ship anyway to counter Microsoft and OpenAI. Britannica's coverage notes that an internal risk assessment was overruled and that some staff accused leadership of bypassing established AI ethics checks to avoid falling further behind competitors. Publicly and internally, Sundar Pichai tried to contain the damage. In emails to staff, he acknowledged that things will go wrong as more people used Bard, and emphasized that user feedback was critical to improving the model, effectively preparing employees and the public for more mistakes during the rollout. Reports from outlets like The Economic Times and Business Insider say Pichai asked employees to spend several hours a day testing Bard and rewriting bad responses to help fix its output, turning the workforce into a large-scale human evaluation layer. At the same time, he publicly rejected the claim that Bard was a knee-jerk reaction, insisting Google had been working deeply on AI for a long time, a clear attempt to defend the company's research legacy against the perception of panic. Facing external criticism and internal dissent, Google made a structural move in April 2023 by merging its two major AI research units, Google Brain and DeepMind, into a single organization called Google DeepMind. Pichai said this consolidation was meant to significantly accelerate progress in AI, aligning cutting-edge research, safety, and product deployment under one leadership structure. This reorganization also symbolized recognition at the top that fragmented AI efforts were slowing Google down compared to more unified competitors. Britannica and other sources note that Google co-founder Sergey Brin became more involved again, reportedly contributing code and input to the new Gemini system, signaling that AI had returned to the very top of the company's strategic agenda. Controversies did not end with Bard's first stumble. One Google researcher, Jacob Devlin, resigned after claiming that Bard had been trained using data from OpenAI's ChatGPT in a way he considered improper, an allegation Google denied. His departure was widely reported as another sign of internal tension around how aggressively the company was pushing its AI products. In 2024, the rebranded Gemini system faced its own firestorm when its image generation features produced historically inaccurate and biased images, including odd depictions of people in sensitive contexts. Google paused Gemini's image generation of people, and senior search executive Prabhakar Raghavan publicly called the outputs inaccurate or even offensive, and apologized. While Sundar Pichai described some of Gemini's controversial responses as completely unacceptable and promised structural changes and updated guidelines. Google's AI overviews in search also drew criticism when some erratic or incorrect answers went viral, prompting Pichai to warn users not to blindly trust AI outputs, and reinforcing the narrative that even Google's integration of AI into its core product was bumpier than expected. Despite the controversies, Google continued to invest heavily, shifting from Bard as a single product to Gemini as a unified model family. In December 2023, Google announced that Bard would be upgraded with and then effectively replaced by Gemini, and claimed that Gemini Ultra outperformed OpenAI's GPT-4 on several benchmarks, marking a new phase in the rivalry. Gemini was released in multiple versions: Nano for on-device use, Pro for most cloud and consumer workloads, and Ultra for the most demanding tasks, and became the backbone for search enhancements, Workspace AI features, Android assistants, and developer APIs on Google Cloud. This marked a strategic shift from reactive chatbot launches toward building an AI platform embedded across Google's entire product line. Even after the Gemini launch, leadership remained under scrutiny. When the image generation controversy erupted in early 2024, articles noted that Pichai was under fire again, with critics arguing that Google had not learned enough from the Bard fiasco about testing at scale and anticipating social and political sensitivities. Pichai's public response framed the issue as a serious failure and promised structural changes to how AI products were built and reviewed, indicating that pressure from inside and outside the company was forcing top management to adjust governance, not just model weights. Yet, at the same time, leadership continued to push for rapid deployment of Gemini across consumer and enterprise products, reflecting the tension between growth ambitions and safety concerns. By 2024 to 2025, Google's AI stack, now branded as Gemini and delivered through apps, Android, Workspace, and Google Cloud, had moved from crisis mode into a more stable, competitive position in the AI race. Google offers consumer subscriptions like Gemini Advanced and AI Pro. These give users access to more powerful versions, such as Gemini 3 Pro, with longer context windows for deep research and tools for advanced reasoning, code, images, and even high-quality video through VO-powered features. For everyday users, it feels like a smarter assistant. For Google, it is a way to monetize AI directly at scale. To understand Google's real advantage, you have to look at where people spend their working hours. Gmail, Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, Meet, Chat. This is Google Workspace, and it has hundreds of millions of users worldwide. Google's bet is simple. Put Gemini into every one of these tools. In Docs, Gemini can draft, refine, and summarize long reports, even generate audio versions and podcast-style briefings for people who prefer to listen instead of read. In Sheets, it analyzes data, suggests formulas, and builds charts from natural language prompts. In Flow, Google's new video app, Gemini and Veo can help generate and edit video content directly from scripts or prompts. Workflows that once took hours of manual effort are compressed into a few guided steps. This tight integration narrows the gap with Microsoft's Copilot, which lives inside Office 365. The difference is scale. Every Gmail inbox, every shared company document, every team chat becomes a potential surface for Gemini to operate on. Google doesn't need to win every benchmark if it can quietly sit at the center of daily work. On raw innovation, most analysts still rank OpenAI and Microsoft slightly ahead. OpenAI pushes frontier models fast, with GPT-5 regarded as a leading system in 2025. Microsoft, through Azure and Copilot, has become the face of AI in the enterprise world, lining up long-term contracts with governments and global corporations. Google, however, is closing in. Gemini 2.5 and its multimodal reasoning capabilities have moved Google back into the top tier of model performance. More importantly, Google's strength is no longer just research, but distribution. Search, YouTube, Android, Workspace, and Home all act as delivery channels for Gemini. Market commentary reflects this shift. Some financial analysts now describe Google as the sleeping giant of AI that has finally woken up. Recent reports note that investors increasingly see Google as a leading winner of the AI wave, not because it clearly beats every rival on benchmarks, but because it can plug AI into so many existing products and revenue streams. Look closely at the pattern. Google is not betting everything on one magical app. The strategy is to make Gemini the connective tissue under everything else. When you ask a question in Search, draft a contract in Docs, analyze a spreadsheet, script a video, manage your smart home, or deploy an AI agent in the cloud, you are touching the same underlying intelligence. Competitors can match or even beat Google in some areas, a frontier model here, an enterprise deal there. But very few companies have this many surfaces to integrate AI into. For Google, winning the AI race is not a single moment or a single launch. It is a slow, cumulative process of weaving Gemini into the daily habits of billions of people and millions of businesses. As the AI era accelerates, the scoreboard keeps changing. New models appear, new competitors arise, regulations tighten, outages happen, public trust rises and falls. But beneath the noise, one question remains. Whose AI will quietly run the world's digital routines? Google's answer is clear. Gemini is not just a product, it is the brain they are stitching into search, work, devices, cloud, and home. Whether that strategy secures a lasting lead or simply sets the stage for the next disruption, that is a story still being written. In the AI race, is the real advantage raw intelligence or total integration? You decide.